All right, welcome back. We're on part 3 of Antebellum Immigration. It says we need to get 4 out of 5 questions correct. I think we can manage that. Let's do it. Despite many hardships, immigrants often succeeded in America. The events below are adapted from the autobiography of George Kulzer, a German immigrant who moved to Minnesota to farm. Kulzer's experience was similar to that of many immigrants. Place the events from Kulzer's life in order. It's a little timeline here that shows the cause and effect. So, despite almost losing everything, family raised it up. That's after many years of farming. When I moved to Minnesota, my first harvest. So, you got to move to Minnesota in order to become a buy land. First harvest was destroyed. Despite almost losing everything and years of farming, I think that looks good. We're good. As German and Irish immigrants adapted to their new homes, they also found ways to hold on to their traditions from their old homes, celebrating German and Irish America. Today, millions of Americans are descended from Irish and German immigrants who came in the 1800s. Those Irish and German immigrants brought along traditions and customs that are still around today. For example, some of the holidays celebrated in Germany and Ireland are also celebrated in the United States. And we have a picture here of Americans celebrating Oktoberfest, which is a German harvest festival in the fall. And every year, the city of Chicago dyes the Chicago River green to celebrate the Irish holiday, the Irish Catholic holiday of St. Patrick's Day. And if you've ever seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, you've seen that green river. Some immigrants could get help from family members, but others did not know anyone. So they found other ways to face the challenges of living in a new country, match the solution to the challenge that it addressed. All right, so new immigrants often felt lonely in their new neighborhoods. So we got sharing money, worship, foreign language. Here we go. Create clubs for immigrants to socialize and make new friends. Immigrants often do not have enough money to pay for medical costs or funerals. And that's here, groups to share money in case of emergencies. Immigrants often do not have places to practice their religion. Well, they're going to practice it in the churches that they built. And immigrants were unable to learn about events because they could not read English, so they started foreign language newspapers. And this right here is part of the reason the nativists didn't like them, because they felt that immigrants were not trying to become Americans. They felt that they were not assimilating, they were not becoming part of American society. And instead of being American in America, they were being like German in America, or Irish in America, or Chinese in America. And that's a real negative way of thinking. And this is all right. Building Jewish American communities. Many German immigrants in the 1800s were Jewish. Although there had been some Jewish communities in the United States since colonial times, these German immigrants soon made up a majority of the Jewish population. Jewish immigrants started new synagogues or places of worship. To help spread education, they also started free schools for students to learn about Judaism. Like other immigrant groups, Jewish immigrants also started aid societies, which gave money and provided advice for immigrants moving to the United States. And this picture here shows the Temple Emmanuel, a synagogue in the New York City that was built by German Irish immigrants in the 1800s. The congregation still exists today, although the synagogue has been replaced. As the number of immigrants increased, immigrant voters played an important role in elections in the 1850s. During this time, Americans were divided on many issues, including whether slavery should be allowed in the new territories. When deciding how to vote, voters in the elections of the 1850s had three main political parties to choose from. The Republican Party argued that the spread of slavery needed to be stopped. Some Republican leaders also believed that it should take longer for immigrants to become citizens. So they're like anti-slavery, but they're also anti-immigrant. The Democrat Party was often pro-slavery, but was also supportive of protecting the rights of Catholics and immigrants. For example, Democrats wanted to keep it easy for immigrants to become citizens. They also supported allowing Catholics to start their own schools. The Know Nothing Party was a nativist party that argued that Catholics and immigrants were a threat to the United States. Know Nothings wanted to make it extremely difficult for immigrants to become citizens. Describe which political party people with the following perspectives would likely support. All right, our choices are Republican, Democrat, Know Nothing. I am a German immigrant who is a Catholic. I will support the political party that allows Catholics to set up schools. So we're looking here, allow Catholics to start schools. I am a German immigrant who thinks the most important issue is slavery. The United States is a land of freedom and slavery should be banned. Well, that's spread of slavery need to be. I like this. This is very interesting. The spread of slavery. You know, they didn't want slavery to spread, but maybe they didn't mind if it stayed where it was. That's an important part when we get to the Civil War. So, but that's going to be a Republican point of view. I'm an Irish immigrant who has been attacked and beaten by natives before. I will vote for the party that best protects immigrants. And we see here, we're looking at this, supportive of protecting Catholics and immigrants. That would be the Democrats. We're right. What roles did immigrants play in politics? Immigrants in the antebellum period found many different ways to shape politics. Immigrant newspapers often helped keep immigrant voters informed about political issues that were important to them. Immigrants joined political parties to help influence the party's position on different topics. Immigrant voters refused to support candidates who did not promise to help immigrants with issues important to them. German Americans and Irish Americans ran for political offices to make sure their communities were represented. As immigrants made up a larger part of voters in many places, anti-immigrant candidates found it harder to win elections. Political debates of the 1850s, especially over slavery, led to the American Civil War. Immigrants played an important part of the Civil War. Over 350,000 Irish American and German American immigrants fought in the United States Army during the war. Imagine you're a historian studying the everyday experiences of immigrants who fought in the Civil War. Which of the following primary sources would be most useful to you? So, everyday experiences of immigrants who fought in the war. Government records before the war? No. Speeches about the war by an Irish American politician. Letters from a German American soldier to his family. The diary of an American minister who lived in a German American minister who lived in a southern state. Let's go with the letter from German soldier, German American. How did German and Irish immigrants feel about the Civil War? By the time of the Civil War, there were millions of immigrants in the United States. These immigrants had many different reactions to the war. Some immigrants saw the war as a chance to end slavery once and for all. For example, many German American leaders demanded that the United States government declare an end to slavery. Many immigrants resented that they had to fight and die in a war that they thought would only help enslaved people. There are stories of many men that they got off the boat in like New York City, German, Irish immigrants, they got off the boat in New York City, and there would be military army recruiters there saying, "Welcome to America. It's the law. You have to join our army." So they resented that they had to fight. They were lied to. Fight and die in a war that they thought would only help enslaved people. For example, many Irish American people rioted in 1863 to resist having to join the army. Many immigrants saw the war as a chance to prove that they could be good citizens. Immigrants joined both the Union and Confederate armies for this reason. And this is the 69th New York Regiment returning after a battle. This is almost entirely made up of Irish immigrants. Based on what you have learned about immigration during the antebellum period, complete the text below. While the most common occupation for German immigrants was farming, most Irish immigrants were, we remember, they were unskilled workers, which meant they usually could only find low-paying jobs. That's because they were unskilled. As a result, most Irish immigrants lived in cities, although some did start their own farms. During the antebellum period, millions of immigrants from Ireland and Germany came to the United States. Push factors such as the Great Irish Famine or failed revolutions forced many people to flee their homelands in Europe. Pull factors such as the chance to own a farm or make more money encouraged immigrants to come to the United States. A nation of immigrants. Like immigrants before and after them, German and Irish immigrants faced challenges and opportunities in their new home of the United States. A famous historian named Oscar Handlin once wrote, "I thought to write a history of the immigrants in America. Then I discovered that the immigrants were American history." Handlin meant that the stories of different immigrant groups make up an important part of the history of the United States. I really like this picture here of the ceremony of immigrants becoming naturalized American citizens in 2014. Notice this female Army sergeant here. She's got quite a few decorations. She's obviously been in the military for a while. She came to America, joined our Army, served our country, and she's now an American citizen. I knew many people like that. All right, we're amazing. Let's go ahead and shut this off. Thanks for paying attention. Do well on the IXL.